Hello and welcome to Above the Third Wall, where bad webcomics get deleted. I'm your host, Larry Hoglove, and I've got a special treat for you guys today, and by treat, I mean turd. That's right, today we're going to talk about a terrible webcomic that's been on my personal hit list for a while, Stubble Trouble. I've already reviewed plenty of god-awful webcomics. Sonichu, Furthia High, So You're a Cartoonist, Rain Dog, Dominic Deacon, The Lightbringer, Suicide for Hire, Haley Flower, and Project Second, but Stubble Trouble may just take the cake. Let's see, how do I explain this one? First, I suppose I should try to talk about the author, R.C. Powell. The guy's kind of a mystery to me. I really don't know all that much about him, because he seems to remain rather private. I do know he's been on DeviantArt for 10 years now, churning out a steady stream of horribly drawn furry pictures and fetish art. His webcomic, Stubble Trouble, has been going on for nearly 9 of those years, and yet, in 9 years' time, he's continuously failed to improve his art, writing, characterization, and especially the humor. Hell, it took 2 years before the comic went to full color, and even to this day, the line art is still jagged and horribly pixelated. What program does this guy use? MS Paint? Another thing that ticks me off is that this guy can't even keep to a regular schedule. Comics just sort of come out at random whenever RC feels like it. Sometimes days or even weeks go by between updates. Slacker. Let's start with the title, Stubble Trouble. Well, a quick Google search shows that Stubble Trouble is actually a pretty common name. It's been used in an animated short film about a caveman, a Scooby-Doo comic, a Dexter's Laboratory comic, a couple of different shaving lathers, a jazz song by Paul Sattel and the Brotherhood of Soul, some guy's YouTube channel, an article about Paul Ryan's beard from the Weekly Standard, and it is in fact very often used in online articles in reference to shaving and men's beards. What the heck, man? Dude can't even come up with an original title for his terrible webcomic. And speaking of the comic, I suppose I should at some point try to get to reviewing the actual strip itself. Oh boy, where do I begin? First off, it's a furry comic, so you know it automatically sucks right there. Secondly, it's a furry comic all about a shaving fetish. Yes, you heard that right, a shaving fetish. That's just ew. Thirdly, the art sucks. I mean, just look at it. Dude seriously needs to go to art school. A blind preschooler with no arms could draw better than this. Rob Liefeld has better proportions than Powell. Ugh. I mean, there's really no point in me reviewing this strip by strip. There's really no clear overarching story to speak of. It's just mostly gag-a-day strips. But this is Above the Third Wall, where we need to dive in and take a closer look at this crap. Just browsing from the first few strips, my lord, this is awful. It's just pencil lines, and you can see parts where he tried to erase, the images are fuzzy, and it looks like somebody smeared something all over his scanner. Besides that, the dude just can't draw. I mean, at all. The character models, if you can even call them such, look horrendous. Nobody looks consistent even from frame to frame. Another thing that ticks me off is that there are just way too many characters to try and keep track of. Just looking at the first 10 strips, there are 9 characters introduced. 9 characters! Come on, man! There's no way you can introduce so many characters that quickly and expect to properly develop them all. Look at your basic sitcom setup, like Friends, Seinfeld, or The Big Bang Theory. Each one of those shows has a relatively small number of main characters, therefore the writers are able to properly juggle them and give them all adequate screen time and development. Stubble Trouble has no idea of how to do that. If it were up to me, I'd cut the number of characters down to 4 or 6, tops. Speaking of characters, I hope you like stereotypes, because that's all you're going to get here. The main character is Renan the Shaved, the author's shameless stand-in, and Mary Sue. How do I describe Renan? The dude's a fox, he's a nerd, and he's got a shaving fetish. That's it. I mean, he does get fatter as the comic goes along, so that's something, but seriously, this is a boring character. Word of advice, RC, characters aren't that interesting when they're nothing more than you, the author, playing yourself. Take a hint from Christian Weston Chandler. Believe me, that crap never works out. Not only that, R.C. Powell appears as himself in comic form too. And in recent years, he even appears yet again as his cosplay character, Jinx the Lynx. What's this guy's deal? Talk about an ego trip. In regards to the other characters featured in this mess, we have Rachel, a squirrel who likes to shave her fur off. Well, that's just gross. There's Mel, a one-eyed fox girl, her friend Allie, who is a friggin' amputee, Rosie and Reggie, a couple of Scottish twins who are Scottish, I guess, Robert, a raccoon, and Lysonia, some sort of centaur-fox hybrid, 2 characters who are so boring and forgettable that the author completely forgets that they even exist after a while. And finally there's Jeanette. Oh boy, this one's a doozy. This is some sort of freaky spider centaur abomination who can take off her own head. Newsflash, RC, that doesn't work in real life. Not only can she take her own head off, she does it all the friggin' time. I guess that's another one of Powell's weird fetishes. Alright, getting back to the actual strips themselves. My god, this is boring. You want to know what happens? Fine, I'll sum it up for you. Rhino and Mel start dating and the two of them start shaving each other's fur off. I just can't get over how weird that is. Dude has a freaky shaving fetish, so he insists on reminding you of it at every possible opportunity. Rhino's going to film school or something, but the comic forgets about it as quickly as I do. We're introduced to yet another character, Becky, a rabbit who does gymnastics. Geez, we're about 50 strips in and nothing interesting has happened. Reggie and Jeanette are dating, apparently, and they go to the movies, or Rosie meets his creepy theater employee, Jeremy, and the two of them soon start dating. Jeremy then becomes yet another main character! For crying out loud, this is sounding more and more like a crappy sitcom. And I have to stress this, Rosie is a dog, Jeremy is a human, and they're dating. That's just sick and wrong on so many levels, man. The author is basically drawing bestiality at this point. And of course, I can't help but be reminded of that infamous scene in Rain Dog where the kid kisses his dog after sleeping with her. Ugh, I feel like I need to take a shower after reading this. I feel dirty. If we're going to get through this piece of garbage, we're going to have to pick up the pace because my brain simply can't handle all the stupid here. The terrible artwork is hurting my eyes, too. Allie the amputee and Becky have a sleepover. Whatever. We then have a flashback out of nowhere to how she lost her leg in a car crash. And my god, this is horrible! This is supposed to be a funny comic. Why do we have to see this very special episode where the cat girl loses her friggin' leg? The two of them become friends, the characters regularly celebrate Halloween and Christmas, and a bunch of them go on a double date where Jeanette transforms into a regular two-legged person who can shapeshift, or something. Hell, I can't keep up with all this nonsense. Yes, friends, this is where Stubble Trouble tries to start to have a serious storyline about Jeanette, the freaky spider girl, who basically becomes a new main character. I'll save you the long, boring story, but it turns out that she's literally a hellspawn demon whose father's a giant spider monster that wants to take over the Earth. What the crap is going on here? Since when did the story go from a fox who has a shaving fetish to a story about demons literally trying to take over the Earth? What was the author smoking when he came up with this? Anyway, to make a very long story short, Reggie and Jeanette get engaged, eventually have their wedding like 200 strips later, and Jeanette's demon father comes up from hell and almost destroys the city. But he is stopped by Bible verses of all things. Oh boy, talk about anticlimactic. He's a giant spider demon from Doom, but he's basically stopped by a couple of Bible verses? Give me a break. But that's not the end, not even close. The comic continues on for years after that, with hundreds more strips of filler, bad jokes, stale pop culture references, walls of text, useless cameos, moronic characters, horrible artwork, forced memes, paper-thin allegories, poor attempts at drama, offensive stuff, overtly religious diatribes, pointless satire, bad attempts at humor, unnecessary political stuff, and the stupidest superheroes and villains I've ever seen. And believe me, I'm an expert when it comes to superhero comics. Oh my god, is it over yet? I'm looking at the dude's DeviantArt profile, and he's still making these things. Right now he's got over 550 of them. 550! I'm not going to read all that crap. I'd rather have a freaking lobotomy. The story climaxes, as much as it's possible here, with the giant spider demon wrecking the city. Everything after that comes off as a letdown, but who am I kidding? It's all one big, stupid letdown. I don't care about the jokey superheroes and villains. I don't care about the story arcs that drag on for years at a time without ever getting finished. I'm sick of these characters and I'm sick of their author. In closing, this comic sucks. It sucks big time. It's just some dude's creepy Mary Sue wish fulfillment about his disgusting shaving fetish. The art sucks, the storylines suck, the characters suck, and the author is a major creeper. I can't believe I wasted so much time reviewing this piece of furry garbage. I feel like I need to drink a bleach cocktail. But before we do that, we have one last important thing to do. Since this is above the third wall, where bad webcomics get deleted, and this is a god-awful webcomic, it needs to be deleted. Oh man, thank God that's over. But nevertheless, we must press onward. So please join me in watching as I cosplay as various copyrighted characters for the next half hour or so in the latest chapter of my ongoing epic storyline where I'm the ultimate savior of the universe.